Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on with my family in the building with me today? What's going on, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's stream with your boy Abel. Super excited to be here with every single one of you guys on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon here. Right, and I'm excited, guys, because it is the start of the trading week. The market does open back up literally in about 5 more hours, and I know for a fact that this week coming up is going to be an absolute banger, family. So go ahead and drop your locations in the chat. If you guys can hear me, if you guys can see my screen, go ahead and drop those locations in the chat, guys, so I can go ahead and give you your shout outs as well. And then we're definitely going to go ahead and get started just with another stream that we have here for this week, and I'm excited for it. Right, again, every week I'm genuinely excited, guys, to pretty much trade, just because again I want to see what actually happens. Right, we really don't know exactly what's actually going to end up happening throughout the week. All we can do is just prepare ourselves in the best way possible. But I actually get a lot of excitement, for the beginning of the week, right? Because you never know. You might have a good week, you might have a bad week. Well, overall, you just really don't know what can actually go ahead and happen. But let's see what we got in the building today. So we got Michigan in the house, we got Wisconsin, New Jersey, Chicago, Nigeria, Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas in the building, Colombo, Sri Lanka, Stockton, California, San Diego in the building. We got Savage Land, USA, what is up? We got Charlotte, North Carolina, Greensboro, I see you guys, Nigeria, India. We got Reading, England in the building, New Mexico, Louisiana, Florida in the house as well. Welcome, 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 family. Super excited to be here. I feel like I haven't done a stream now in forever, it seems like, right? But it's only been the last week that I took off. Right, I took the last week off of streaming, guys, because I did actually have my most recent boot camp. My most recent 5 trader boot camp was last week, and I always take off the week for that itself. And yeah, but now we're about to be back this week, starting on Tuesday. I will be back to streaming Asian sessions live with every single one of y'all, so that we can continue to pretty much grow as traders and just get better overall. That's been my number one goal overall, guys, just to help you guys get better throughout this process, throughout this journey, because it is just that, a process and a journey that you're gonna have to absolutely go through, right? But overall, this session that we have today is gonna be my weekly outlook. We're going to take a look at the calendar, identify any major news events that are going to get released this week that we have to pay attention to. And then from there, we're going to go into the markets, or at least go into the actual charts, and then try to find some opportunities that could make sense for us. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is going to be my first time looking at the charts, guys, since Friday's closure. I normally do back testing on Saturday, but I was not able to actually do it yesterday. So this is also going to be my first time analyzing the market since the market's closed. So, I'm pretty much going to start with fresh charts overall. I'm going to erase any markups that I might have, just start pretty much fresh from the top to the bottom, and then go from there. And hopefully you guys can go ahead and gain some value, guys, from, this overall market outlook, especially since I'm doing it live with every single one of you guys tonight. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and make sure that we are aware of news. That's the first thing that I do, guys, at the start of every single week, no matter what. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I always like to make sure that I am aware of what type of events are getting released for this week, because again, the market itself, guys, is going to, it's going to move in a way that's going to be impacted and affected by these actual news events. Now, this is the thing about these markets, guys, right? These news events, for the most part, they move price. But one thing that most people don't understand is that these news events also cause the price of these markets to change way before the actual news event actually occurs, right? Especially if it's major news events that happen, that are on the horizon. Then yeah, the markets are going to start to move and react based off what is expected to happen with that news event. Okay, it's the expectation, the rumor, the prediction of that news event that can really influence price into moving certain directions before the actual release even comes out, right? So that's something just to be aware of, guys. But overall, on Tuesday, we don't have nothing major on Sunday or Monday, right? And the majors, I'm really only looking at the high impact news events. If you're using investing.com to identify your calendar, it's going to be the ones with the 3 stars, right? But overall, we don't have nothing Sunday or Monday. But on Tuesday, guys, we do have a bunch of PMI data that's getting released for the pound and the euro. We also have new home sales getting released. As of right now, these type of releases, guys, that have to do with like the real estate market as a whole. A lot of investors and traders are definitely paying a lot more attention now, more than anything, to these things as opposed to a few other ones, but definitely towards the real estate releases, because right now, we're trying to see what is actually going on with the real estate market. There's been pretty much a downturn, and a lot of the real estate statistics out there, right there, aren't as many houses now easily available like there used to be, right? The demand for housing is starting to decrease and dry up, right? So there's definitely a lot of factors that are really surrounding the housing market that can also really influence, guys, our economy and our currency as a whole. So seeing this is definitely going to be very interesting to see if this number does continue to go lower, which is what I'm pretty much expecting for this number to actually do. Right now, going into Wednesday, we do have core durable goods, which is definitely going to be an event, guys, that can absolutely shake these markets. Then we have pending home sales, followed by that we have crude oil inventories that's also getting released on Thursday. For the most part, nothing too crazy. I mean, we do have a couple GDPs, but these are more so like the updated numbers for quarter 2 on what the updated numbers are actually going to come out as. So at 8:30 a.m., guys, we do have GDP, quarter over quarter for QT. This, again, just an update, right? If there is any revision from, the actual release that came out last month, which pretty much told us that we were at negative 0.9%. Okay, this is the revision, right? To see if there is any change. Now, the revision itself, I do expect this revision to still come out at a negative number. I don't really care how or what number. I just want to make sure that, I want to be aware of if it does come out negative or not, right? Because if for whatever crazy reason, I don't expect this to happen, guys, but for whatever crazy reason, this number actually was revised to a positive number, then that means we really are not in a technical recession, right? Because again, 2 quarters in a row back to back of negative growth, pretty much just telling us we're in a recession. Right, so we had first quarter Q1 was definitely negative. Q2 came out last month as negative, but now it's the revision. Again, I don't ever expect it to come out positive, but you never know in these markets. So this is definitely gonna be interesting, guys. It could potentially shake the markets. Then we also have initial jobless claims as well, which is definitely something that again is a lot of traders and investors, guys, especially a lot of people over there in the Fed, like Jerome Powell, they're paying attention to what these actual jobs reports and a lot of this employment and unemployment reports that are getting released, because that's the one thing that they're pretty much still banking on to pretty much keep us out of a crazy recession, right? Is jobs, right? Job indicators, guys, are a big tradable event if you understand what's going on. But when you don't understand what's going on, then it really does hurt a lot, right? But big shout out to Caleb. What's going on, Caleb? How are you doing? Shout out to you, my brother. I appreciate you for supporting the channel. Welcome to the Wealthy Fam, right? Make sure to go ahead and send me a message via my Instagram. Instagram is right below me right here, right? So I can go ahead and get you added into the private community that we have, right? So welcome to the family. I definitely appreciate you so much for rocking with me today. And now moving forward. All right, so yeah, overall, initial jobless claims is definitely something else that, again, a lot of traders and investors are paying attention to see how that ends up coming out. And then to finish off the week, guys, we do have core PCE price index that is also getting released. So in my opinion, nothing too crazy that's getting released for this week. But again, you just never know, how the markets are going to react to a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's not that you never know, right? You have a good idea, especially when you understand fundamentals. You have a good idea of how the market will react based off the actual release, right? And that's what we want to prepare ourselves and be aware of. All right, so let's go ahead and get straight into the markets, guys, because I don't want to be on here too long with y'all. All right, I do love you guys so much, but I do got a lot of things to do with the wife in a few, right? So let's go ahead and get through this. So overall, let's take a quick look, guys, and see what the dollar has pretty much done. For those of you guys that are newer to these streams for me, right, whether it's your first time catching me live right now, or whether it's the first time in general ever hearing from me, right? One thing that I love to do, guys, from at least for me, what works for me as a trader, is that I always like to take a look at what the dollar itself is doing first. Just because the dollar itself is the most dominant currency across the world. It's still, it's still the currency reserve of the world. 60 to 70 transactions that occur in the Forex market, 60 to 70% of those transactions are the US dollar, right? Major trade across the world occurs in US dollars. Right, so if we have the ability, guys, to read what the most strongest currency in the world is going to do, then when we're actually trading other currency pairs that might have the dollar, or even if they don't have the dollar, right, we're still able to really figure out some high probability setups, right? So that's what I like to do. So I'm going to take a quick look at the dollar, guys, and pretty much figure out what has been happening. So if we take a look at this, I mean, all last week, guys, we really just experienced a lot of bullishness, right? The dollar itself just really went back into its full strength that we've pretty much been experiencing. And this is literally something that I also told you guys on last week's video. All right, last week's video, it wasn't live for you guys here on YouTube. It was live for my inner circle. And in fact, these calls right here, guys, that like this live session that I'm hosting, this is only gonna be for those of you guys that are in my inner circle moving forward. I just wanted to do it live on YouTube because I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever, right? I missed you guys on YouTube, right? But overall, these are definitely more private calls that I host, and then I just end up dropping the recording on YouTube. But overall, last week's call, I pretty much told you guys this, right? That I expected dollar dominance to come back in because that's all we've been experiencing, right? We have no evidence, guys, that this momentum that we've been seeing for the dollar is going to change anytime soon, long term, right? As long as current market conditions are what they are, then we should expect the dollar to continue in its dominance. Okay, so last week we predicted that the market was very possible for us to find an area of support down here at these levels, and then we do see price start to rebound, and it did exactly just that. So now what can we expect next for the dollar? Well, we are coming back up into an area of structure back up at these highs. You could possibly consider this more so an area of supply, just because when price did come up into this level, we did get a nice daily engulfing, right? That ended up selling us right back down. So I mean, there is a chance for us to go ahead and see a short-term reaction off of this level when we do get up there, right? And if that happens, that's amazing, right? That's just going to be setting us up for the next move higher, right? Because overall, guys, I still want to see bullishness come in, right? Like there has been no evidence of anywhere, in my opinion, no evidence from a fundamental, from a sentimental perspective, and even from a technical perspective, there hasn't been no evidence that we're possibly going to go ahead and start to lose strength, from this currency's perspective as a whole. Okay, the dollar itself is still very dominant. Again, market conditions and just the situations that we're experiencing right now, guys, in my opinion, it's just going to continue, right? We don't see no slowdown at all. We've been calling dollar strength this entire year, and it's because, again, the market conditions of this entire year, and it hasn't even just been from this year, right? Before I even started coming back live on YouTube, when I was on the previous platform that I was a part of teaching, I've been calling out dollar strength even since last year, right? Since literally all of this down here, I've been telling everybody, man, dollar strength is going to really dominate going into 2022. 2022 is going to be the year of dollar strength, right? And that's exactly what we've been experiencing. And it's just because of everything that we've been going through, leading with obviously inflation causing a number on our economy as a whole, right? Leading to the Federal Reserve having to print more and more money, right? Go ahead and send out those stimulus packages to pretty much just help everybody survive. But those stimulus packages also went not just to individuals, but to large corporations and institutions. So all this money that's now being printed with an already with an economy that was already, I'm not going to say it was doing bad, because our economy was at the highest levels ever, right? It was super strong economy, right? But the writing on the wall was there, right? The writing on the wall was there, right? So much money being printed that short amount of time is usually not going to lead to something that's beneficial, right? So it was a combination of things, guys, that absolutely, just led to the dollar just absolutely gaining strength, and I believe it's going to continue. Now, I would love to see a pullback in the market, all right? Because now, if we're talking about in terms of like looking for potential trades here, I don't want to look for buys up at these highs, right? My opportunity to look for buys was back down after this pullback, right? Back down to previous levels of structure, right? Trying to look for an entry up here. See, now you're trying to like chase the markets per se, right? You don't want to chase the markets, guys. So overall, what I would like to see is either we're going to break this level, retest, and then continue as dominant with my prediction, or we can come up to here, push back down, correct first. I would love for this thing to happen as well, and then we go ahead and we continue our dominance, right? So there's really two outcomes that I'm looking for the dollar and what it's going to do next. It's just a matter of being patient and seeing what it does do, right? Because we are here on the daily time frame, guys, right? So this is again a bigger time frame here. So there could be a short-term period in time this week coming up where we do come up to this high and we start to actually more so favor dollar weakness, right? Because if we are going to see a reaction off of this area of supply at these highs, then yeah, right, that's going to call for dollar weakness. And when there's dollar weakness, we have to understand how to trade the currency pairs when we're actually trading. So again, dollar strength is what I believe we are still long-term. right? That means if it ends in USD, we should see it go down in price. If it begins in USD, we should see it go up in price, right? Keeping things very simple here, okay? This is exactly why I like analyzing the dollar, because the market reacts like this, right? It reacts. Dollar strength, if it's there, then pairs like Euro USD, GBP USD, NZD USD, AUD USD, we should see those going down because the dollar is so strong, right, that is making that first currency weaker against it, which causes the price to go lower. But if it begins in USD, then you should see it go higher, right? We should see an increase in buying momentum, or we should just see the dollar itself really just continue to gain strength if that's the case, right? So this is why I like analyzing the dollar, right? Because it really does help out. Because now when I go to these other pairs, now I'm going to have already a general bias in mind that I'm going to be looking for, right? Now the key thing here about the dollar, guys, is really just seeing what actually it does, right? Because again, it's going to come up to this level now on the start this week, and it's really a make or break level, right? We realistically could see price again shift down from these levels, and if it does, then you want to favor dollar weakness at that period of time. But once we do come back down to a period of structure that makes sense, maybe around this 105.8, then from there we can start to favor dollar strength once again, right? So again, being able to understand the difference between, or being able to understand when it's time to favor dollar weakness and favor dollar strength is definitely a very important thing to be able to do, right? Because the market itself, guys, is really going to react based off of these things, right? So I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to Savon. What's going on? Welcome to the Wealthy Fam. I appreciate you. Thank you for being a sponsor of the familia here, of the channel. Definitely means a lot to me. So go ahead and make sure to send me a message on Instagram so I can go ahead and get you added into that private chat as well. Appreciate you. Absolutely means a lot to me. Thank you so much. All right, so let's see. So what does that make? Yep, that's exactly what it does, Dequan. Right, let's see. That's the sentiment of most people, so I predict it will fall, right? It is very possible, right? I think we're going to experience a short-term pullback, but then a overall dollar strength. Right now, before we even continue, guys, with the actual technicals, though, right? Again, keep in mind what my first thing is, right? My most important bias, right? Because there's different biases that you can create. You can create a bias from a technical perspective. You can create a bias from a fundamental perspective, a bias from a sentimental perspective, right? You can create different biases based off the form of analysis that you're actually looking at. But for me personally, the form of analysis, guys, that is the most dominant one and that holds the most weight is going to be sentimental analysis. This is just my opinion. Why? Because this market is driven off of sentiment. Right? The sentiment, how big time investors and traders are approaching the markets and are approaching the economies as a whole. Right? But the sentiment itself, that is only created based off the fundamental data. Right? So sentimental and fundamental analysis pretty much go hand in hand. Right? So the first thing that I want to focus on is fundamental and sentimental analysis. Right? Or at least have an understanding of it. Right? Understand exactly where it's at. Right? So no matter what the chart work is telling me, right, no matter what this market is saying right here, I always want to continue to make sure I keep this in mind. Why? Because now, based off this, I know no matter what, I'm still looking for an overall direction. Because again, the sentiment is what's creating, guys, order flow, right? Sentiment is what's creating directional bias on what the technicals is showing, right? So this creates the overall move that price is eventually going to make. The technicals is just shown afterwards. Right, so yeah, I'm bullish the dollar, but I've also am bullish the dollar from a fundamental standpoint, right? I believe that we are bullish here, right? So if we're bullish there, then all we have to do is align our technicals with what our fundamental and our sentimentals is saying, right? So if our fundamental analysis and sentimental analysis is bullish, then all I need to do is continue to look for opportunities from the technical perspective that are also bullish. I hope this makes sense, right? Again, I approach the markets, guys, a lot differently than a lot of traders, right? A lot of traders, especially you're gonna find here on YouTube, they're approaching these markets and they're looking at it strictly from a technical perspective. Oh man, if price does this, if we break this, if we break that technical, if we break this support and resistance, this trend line, we bounce off the 61 Fibonacci, right? All this technical stuff, right? We create this harmonic pattern right here. We have the third wave sequence of the other. I mean, there's so many different technical patterns out there, right? So yeah, most traders, they lead with that. Their main form of bias comes from a technical perspective. And I'm not saying that that is wrong whatsoever, but you're also making, in my opinion, you're making it that much harder for you to actually, predict what price is going to do. Because if trading includes or involves, especially when trading currency, if trading currency involves you to understand 3 forms of analysis, but yet you're only using one of the 3, then how do you expect to actually have high probability setups? You'll have a decent probability setup just understanding technicals, but you're not going to have that high probability setup. Our job as traders is to be able to identify that high probability opportunity. And if we're going to do that, we have to include everything that's included into understanding what these markets are doing and why they're doing it. So that includes fundamental and sentimental analysis. So again, most traders on here, though, they only focus on technicals. And that's a big reason why they're really probably not seeing results. And I doubt their students are seeing, consistent results. So we approach it a little bit different here, right? Again, my main focus is understanding from a fundamental, sentimental, and then I use that to align with my technicals. So with that being said, I'm still very much bullish as long, and just write this down somewhere, guys, because this is nugget right here. I'll write this down. As long as the Federal Reserve continues to hike interest rates, the dollar will continue to increase in value over time. Okay? Remember that. Write that down somewhere. This is a nugget. A very big, important nugget. Like this itself, guys, should really simplify everything that you do. Right? If the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank over here in the US, as long as they continue to raise interest rates, that is going to continue to favor dollar strength. Okay? When we have a hawkish committee, right? Federal Open Market Committee. When we have a hawkish committee that is seeking more interest rate hikes, that is going to favor the US dollar. And since the Federal Reserve has already come out to say that they are actually raising interest rates all the way until the end of the year, then why should we try to bet against the dollar? It doesn't make sense, right? You're trying to go against momentum that is very hard to go against, right? So keep that in mind, guys, right? Keep that in mind. Big shout out to Luca Stanek. What's going on? Shout out to you for being our newest subscriber to the family. Welcome to the fam. I appreciate you. Right, but again, if interest rates are going to continue going up, if we already know that interest rates are actually going to continue to go up, by how much, that we really don't know that, right? They could raise it in the next meeting by 75 basis points, which they did in the most recent one, or they could be more aggressive. They could raise it a whole 1%, 100 basis points, or they could even, lower, and actually raise it 50 basis points. I don't know, right? I don't know what the Fed is going to do. My opinion is they're going to continue doing it by 75 basis points. But we also did just see CPI come out a little bit lower, right? We did see CPI come out a little bit lower, which could also signify maybe even a 50 basis point hike. I don't see a 100 base. I don't see a full percent. But the whole point is that we know that they're going to do it. We know it's done. We know that they're going to continue raising rates throughout the rest of the year. So as long as they continue to do that, yeah, we want to continue buying the dollar, right? Is this making sense, family? Drop some threes in the chat real quick, right? And go ahead and smash the like button too if this is making some sense, right? Because you understand this. It's going to change the game for you, right? It's going to change the game for you. You just have to be able to understand it. Let's see, are you going to explain fundamental and sentimental, or when do I find it, or where do I find it? I mean, yeah, for sure. We break it down every single live stream that I do here on YouTube. We talk about fundamental and sentimental analysis. And literally every single one. Like, there's not one stream that I do with you guys that I do not focus on sentimental and technical analysis. So yeah, we talk about it all the time, right? Fundamental has to do with news, right? Knowing how to interpret news. Sentimental knows how to. It's all about knowing how to understand the sentiment, the feeling around news. How big boys are going to position themselves based off that data. That's all that is. All right, so now that we're talking about this, guys, let's actually go ahead and get back into the markets now. So the dollar itself, guys, like I said, this thing can continue just to go, right? Or we'll eventually see a pullback before we continue, right? So right now, though, overall, long term, we're still very much bullish the US dollar, right? We're still very much bullish the US dollar, right? Now let's look at this from the weekly perspective. Look at what the last weekly candle actually did. Look at this, right? Last week we had a lot of momentum come in, right? Where we completely engulfed this previous candle there. So as a trader, what I would like to see now is price to come back into this area, right? Into this little order block that was created before we actually go ahead and see more continuations. Okay. So that's literally what I'm going to be looking for going into this week. I would like to see pullback before continuing with the dollar strength. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a few different pairs, guys, to see what we got here, starting with Euro USD. Again, Euro USD is at a very, very interesting levels as well. And same thing, I want to see, more continuations to the downside here, guys. I mean, what has the euro have been doing literally since, this entire year and last year, right? The entirety of this year and half of last year, we just been seeing this thing getting destroyed. Now, a big reason why this is actually showing like this and why, the dollar index, which is what we were just looking at, and this are doing the exact opposite, is for one, the dollar is the second currency in the pair. Right, so if the dollar is gaining strength, which is what we have been seeing it do, then that is going to drag the euro much lower. And it's going to drag it into much cheaper pricing, which is what we have been seeing because of the dollar strength. And a big reason for that as well is that if we're being honest, the DXY, the chart right here, this is the dollar that we were just looking at. This index is made up of a bucket of currencies, yeah, or a basket of currencies, but it's made up majority of the euro. Right, like it's all made up of predominantly of the euro, so they have a very strong negative correlation to each other. But overall, yeah, I want to see this thing continue. Right, I like to see a pullback in this market. That'll be pretty lit. But then for it to continue in this bearish market itself, right? I am very bearish as long as again the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates. This shall continue to fall. Right, as long as we continue to have a risk-off sentiment environment, this market will continue to react in similar manners that it's been reacting in. Okay, we're still very much, guys, in risk-off sentiment. So that's going to favor the dollar, and that's going to weaken a lot of these more so different currencies. Right, so yeah, I want to see price pull back and then continue. I actually have a setup highs that I'm actually looking at here for Euro USD. Right, very simple. I would like to see Euro USD come up into this area up here, and then up into here, guys, is where I really want to start looking for some opportunities to go short on. All right, so maybe we can see price come up into here. If we see price come up there, then I'm definitely going to be looking to go ahead and short, and then target price breaking these lows overall. Right, so that's my bias, guys, for euro coming into this week. I want to see the pullback and then the continuation lower. If we don't get the pullback itself, then I'm just going to be very patient, be very cautious. We might, there is a possibility for obviously price to bounce off of these lows, just as an initial first test bounce type of thing, right, where we could see price bounce back up. And trading that you could if you're more experienced, but it's a little bit risky, right? It is a little bit riskier if you don't know what you're doing, trying to catch the bounce off to push us higher. So one thing you could just do is just be patient, right? Just be patient. If set an alert, like you can literally set an alert here on TradingView, add alert, and once price does get up there, start to prepare yourself to go ahead and get involved in that opportunity itself, right? But yeah, overall, I'm very interested, guys, in seeing Euro USD come up to around this 1.02 level. And then from there, I'm going to be looking for more shorts to the downside for sure, right? And again, that lines up with what I believe fundamentally this market is going to do, right? And sentimentally what this market is going to do. So that one looks pretty good, guys. Euro USD is definitely going to be one of my favorites for this week for sure. Let's take a look at AUD USD, see what we got here. So very similar with AUD USD though. I'm expecting more downside. This market overall has been bearish. This thing has been bearish literally for decades now, for easily the past decade, right? Since 2010 we have been bearish. And as long as again market conditions are the way that they are, I'm expecting continuations. Right, so I want to see this to continue overall, making its way lower, guys, possibly coming in and targeting these lows that we have here that we created back in July. All right, so that's going to be my overall main big picture perspective, is a continuation lower. But if we're going to look for continuations lower, that's one thing. Does that mean we want to just randomly jump into the trade right here, right now? Should we just randomly jump into a sell right here, family? Yes or no? Answer this in the chat. Right? If we understand what the overall idea is, right? The overall picture is bearish. We want to look for the next opportunity to go ahead and get involved in the bearish trade. But this market has already been bearish for the past 5 days. Right? So if we already been bearish for the past 5 days, does it make sense for us to just jump into a trade right now? Right? Shout out to you, Raid on the charts. I see you. No. Right? Shout out to you, Kel. Robert House. I see you, Big Rob. What's good, bro? TJ, I see you. Yeah. Shintaka. No. Ermel. Shout out to you. Exactly, right? So just because we have the overall direction down pack, we understand what we could be expecting, doesn't necessarily mean we want to just randomly force our way into this trade. Because we're looking at this thing from the daily perspective, right? This is a higher time frame analysis. So we don't want to just jump in. No. And even more, I mean, look at where we're actually at. Like, we're already at a level of structure, right? That is, you know, price can do two things from. We could realistically, literally bounce off of this level right here, because look at what we have done around this level in the past, right? Acted as support, broke through, acted as resistance, we just broke through it again, acted as support, come back down, acting as support again. So yeah, we don't have enough evidence to state that the market is going to just continue from here, even though we know the overall direction is down and that we should continue looking for sells. Taking a trade from right here just doesn't make the most sense. Right, so if we're able to see price actually rebound, then we might be able to go ahead and get involved and have a much better opportunity here with a much better risk reward as well. So what I'm looking for, guys, for AUD USD is, yeah, I want to see price come back up to these levels. Right, if we can come back up to around the 0.703, I'm a super big fan of shorting this market, guys, up in those areas for sure. Right, so literally, and the reason why I'm choosing this area, again, is not too complicated, guys. Look at this. The reason why I like this area right here out of this entire swing, evidence in the past. Right, evidence in the past. Evidence in the past. Right, we have evidence in the past that, yeah, when price comes up here, the general population, or whatever the case may be, they're actually selling the Aussie at this point, right? They believe that or at least the demand for the Australian dollar at this level, right, could get rejected or could show that it's starting to weaken because we have evidence of it in the past. Evidence of it in the past. So it can also happen in the future as well, right? So that's literally how we utilize previous price action, previous history, to help us predict future price action now. Right, so obviously this itself is very general, right? But what a lot of you guys struggle with is when price does get up into here, how do you know when it's time to pull the trigger? Right, that is usually the biggest struggle for most traders. All right, Abel, I get it, right? You expect it up to here, and that's where you want. But how do I know when it's time to actually pull the trigger? Well, you read price action, right? That's when you understanding how to read price action actually comes into play. Okay, because the way I trade, guys, my style of trading, right, I'm very big, again, on fundamental and sentimental analysis. That's like the main deciding factor for what I'm looking for, right? So you can consider myself a sentiment type of trader, right? But when it comes from a technical perspective, I'm a very big supply and demand trader. But I'm also just as big a structure trader as well. Okay? Because, yeah, I do play supply and demand, but I have to make sure that if I'm trading an area of supply and demand, that is aligning itself with a major area of structure, an area where we have evidence, right, that price has continuously reacted from in the past. So when I have that combination of an area of structure, right, which again could be support and resistance, but I align myself to take trades where we also have an area of supply and demand, then see, that is exactly what I look for, right? So if we're using that same exact same thing I'm talking about right now with my style of trading, well, how can I utilize that for this example here with AUD USD? Well, again, if we're going to be looking for a price, then we have to align it with, again, a level of structure. We have structure here. We can see that price has continuously reacted from this level. Now, can we identify an area of supply and demand? Right? Or for this instance, it's going to be an area of supply. And yeah, we do. Right? We also do have an area of supply right up here. How do we know it's an area of supply? Well, because look at how the momentum started to pick up right from this area. right? This is where the selling pressure really came in after we started to do this little bit of a consolidation phase, right? We started to slow down, and then just selling pressure just absolutely took over. So that is an area where we can possibly start to expect more selling pressure to come back in. Very possible, right? There's also a chance for price, again, because these supply and demand areas, guys, are very interesting, right? There's going to be times where, we see price come right up into here, we reject, and then we start going. There can be also times, guys, where we do have this area of supply where the market actually wants to run the supply, maybe grab some additional liquidity higher before we shift back inside of it, and then we continue to go lower. That is also very possible as well, right? It does happen. It is what it is. But overall, once price does come up into this general area, right, that's where we really want to start to look for our entries from. You can, again, there's literally a couple ways to do this. Either just set your trade pending order, right, and as soon as price gets up there, you enter the trade immediately. Or you could be a little bit more patient, go to lower time frames, right? Go to lower time frames, 5 minute, 15, whatever the case. And then when price gets up to that area, right, then you can start to read price and really just identify a structural break to go ahead and go lower, right? So a couple ways to do it. Another way that you can also identify, if you really want to fine tune like the actual entry aspect of it, what you can do as well is on the lower time frames, 5 minute time frame, which is where I'm at now. On these lower time frames, you could also go ahead and read price and read how price actually reacted around these levels, right? So we had this big sell-off, we had the pause in the market, but then we had the continuation, right? So when we have situations like this, price is really going to just react either from this level right here, right, this little pause, the high of this little pause right here, and then go bearish again. That is possible. Or price can also go ahead and target much higher to this level up here as well, right, before we also go ahead and sell off. So when you guys are coming to these lower time frames, guys, and you're now starting to read price action in these lower time frames, keep in mind price can realistically react from either of these levels. Now, how price forms in this level right here is going to really dictate which level we want to play off of, reading price action. But there is going to be a couple levels that we can realistically, see price play from. All right. So overall, though, that's what I think is going to happen for AUD USD. I want to see more continuations bearish. So seeing if price can come back up into this level will probably be an attractive opportunity to go ahead and short all day long. All right, so that's AUD USD overall. Definitely looks pretty interesting. All right, let's see. Shout out to all you guys out there in Chicago. I see y'all for sure. Let's see. Can currency strength meter be used to measure the sentiment in the market? No. No. All right. The answer is no. Right, because like I know exactly what you're talking about. Right. So because there's a ton of different currency strength meters out there that one can utilize. But the thing with these currency strength meters, this is probably one of the more popular ones. The only thing with these currency strength meters, guys, is that it doesn't predict future price action. All right, understand that, right? These currency strength meters do not predict future price action. So what can this do to help you out with identifying the long-term direction? It can't do anything. All it's doing is telling you current strength, right? It's telling you current strength right now, at this time right now, on how strength that currency is. But it's not going to help you predict future strength. And it's definitely not going to tell you overall sentiment, because the sentiment that's found here is more so based off of a current technical perspective of the actual currency, where the sentiment that I'm speaking about is actually understanding the overall landscape of the economy as a whole. All right, because my sentiment is coming from fundamental data. This sentiment is more so coming from technical short-term data, if that makes sense. Right, so I personally don't use none of these at all to do the sentiment. Now, for all you guys that have any of you guys that ever been a part of my boot camp, if there is an indicator or a tool that you guys know that I would recommend, it's going to be the COT reports, all right, to create sentiment. Shout out to everybody that's a part of the boot camps. We actually spoke about that on the boot camps, and it is some sauce, some next level information, because once you understand sentiment, especially from more so a institution or a smart money perspective, it could really change the game for you, right? So that's the one thing you can do your research on. COT report, go ahead and research that, do your research on it, and go from there. If you were a part of boot camp, then you already should understand how to read the overall COT reports, but that's probably the best way to really figure out what sentiment is, if you're going to use an indicator like a website type thing. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Trigger timing is my struggle. Yeah, it's not just you, Kel. You know, it's a lot of people struggle, right? It's really knowing when to enter. So one thing that you can do itself is literally just go and enter once market, like once you create your area of structure that you're interested in, whatever area it is, you wait for price to get up there, and instead of just looking for a specific signal, once it gets there, just take the trade, right? And then just deal with any little bit of drawdown that might come from it. That's one thing that you could do, because at least you're actually entering the trade, right? Yeah, you might not get the best entries, but at least you're in it. I'd rather have a trade, guys, where I'm actually in the trade. It might not be the best because I might have entered at the beginning of the zone, but at least I'm in it, right? I want to be in the trade and at least give myself an ability, or give myself a chance of actually going ahead and winning on that trade if I actually like the opportunity as a whole, right? So I hope that makes sense itself. Let's see. What's your thoughts on the Thursday news will affect the euro market, right? So Thursday's news is what? Let's see. The German GDP. Is this what you're talking about, or you're talking about the EBC publishes account of monetary policy? Meaning, because if there's anything that's gonna get released on Thursday, it's probably gonna be this one right here more than anything, right? The actual publishing of the account of monetary policy meeting, you know, because this is gonna pretty much release what, you know, the ECB has been discussing, right, in their private meetings, right? It's gonna be released to the public so that we have an idea of how they're gonna be approaching the markets as a whole and how they're gonna be approaching monetary policy moving forward, you know, in accordance with, you know, how their economy is doing, right? We all know that every single economy across the board, for the most part, you know, is experiencing a downturn, having to do with, obviously, you know, how the central banks are fighting inflation and things like that. But that's going to be probably the most important thing, is really going to be this, right? Understanding what the actual monetary policy meeting was about, and then using that to really, you know, figure out sentiment overall, right? So that's probably going to be the main important thing, if anything, on Thursday for the euro. You know, the GDP itself, again, this is just a revision, right? It's just going to revise previous numbers that were actually released on GDP itself. Yeah, that could bring some momentarily volatility to the markets, but this is really going to be the most important one for Thursday. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Setting pending, would that be a sell limit? Yeah, right. So setting a pending order. Yeah, I normally use limit orders only. I don't really use stop orders at all. Like, I don't think I've ever used a stop order, to be honest with you, right? So I really only use limit order. So it's either going to be a buy limit or a sell limit, depending on the actual opportunity that you're looking at. Yeah. Let's see. Why is my icon grayed out? That's because you are actually one of my longer term holding members here, right? So shout out to you, Letty. I believe you're on month 3 now, right? Because again, depending on how long you've actually been a subscriber of the channel, you know, it's actually going to give you a different colored badge, right? So most of my newer subscribers that just got subscribed, they're going to have the bronze badge next to their name. You know, I believe those that make it to month 3, you go to a silver badge, then it goes to a gold badge, then it goes to a platinum badge, and then it goes to an ultimate diamond badge, right? But for the diamond badge, you got to be a member of the community that actually has a subscription with me, I believe for an entire year, right? You actually get the diamond badge, right? So that's pretty much what it is. Let's see. Did you do gold already? I did not, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at gold real quick, guys. So again, that's my overall bias here for AUD USD. I want to look for some shorting opportunity from this area up here, right? That's what I'm looking for, all right, around the 0.7 level. Let's take a look at gold and see what we got there. All right, so gold literally has done exactly, guys, what we pretty much been predicting last week as well. Literally on last week's call, I told you guys that I really wanted to see, you know, gold weakness come into play, and it pretty much doing just that. You know, we've seen literally a lot of weakness come off of this level of structure. Very simple break, retest type of opportunity here for gold. But I think we could see more weakness, right? I really want to see gold, guys, continue experiencing this weakness for sure. So going into this week coming up, you know, I would probably look to position myself to ride out any type of opportunities to go lower. So any pullback that we can experience could be an opportunity to go ahead and experience lower pricing here on gold as well. So I'm definitely looking for more opportunities to short gold. It's just a matter of when, right? Because right now, you know, we've been going lower on gold. We had a very strong push here. Ever since then, you know, we had little areas of, you know, pause in the market. We waited to go back to the 50, and then we pushed lower. We had another pause in the market, went to the 50, and then pushed lower. So what we could experience now is another pause in the market, wait for price to come closer back to the 50, and then just continue lower. All right. I mean, again, it's very repetitive, but that's literally what the market has been doing for gold. So that's one thing that you could do if you really want to go ahead and jump into gold and get involved sometime soon. That's probably going to be the best bet. Looking for this pullback to then go ahead and continue, these bearish opportunities that we've been seeing, gold do over this last little downturn we've been seeing. I think there's very possible for price to continue. I really want to see gold eventually down here around the 1720s level. So we still got some ways to go. It's around almost a 200-300 pip move, right, to go to that level. So we still got some ways to short and some ways to go for sure. So that's what I'll be looking for gold, though. Nothing too crazy, just very simple. Look to ride this continuation lower. Right, that looks very, very lit. All right, let's see. Can I get a signal? Shout out to that boy Skaggs in the building. What's going on, my bro? I appreciate you for rocking with me today. Shout out to you, my brother. But the answer is, yeah, I gave you one right here. All right. Sell from this point, sell target down here, right? All right, let's see. Abel, when does the COT report for the upcoming week gets released, right? So it gets released normally every single Friday, right? Every single Friday it should be released, I think around 3:30. So the newest one did actually come out this past Friday for last week, but that's for normally when they actually do get released for sure. Let's see. I subscribed last week and sent Instagram, still not added to private chat. My apologies, Cal. Definitely go ahead and just resend me a message, and I'll check my Instagram right after I'm done with this. Let's see. So who owns most of these countries we trade central banks? And do you think it has to do with anything of what's going on with Russia? So who owns most of these countries we trade central banks? Can you explain what that means? Who owns most of these countries? I'm not sure what you mean by that, right? So definitely go ahead and just, if you can, Oscar, explain what you mean, because I'm not sure what you're talking about with who owns whatever. All right, so let's see what else we got here. No go on them stop orders. No go on. Yeah, I don't like stop orders neither. All right, we got Donnie J. I appreciate you, Donnie J. Right, newest sponsor of the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a sponsor. Thank you so much. Make sure to go ahead and send me a message via Instagram. Send me a message via Instagram so I can get you added into the private community for sure, Ski. All right, I appreciate you for supporting. All right, let's see. Can you add me to the private chat from the boot camp? Yeah, so I actually created the private chat as well. You just remind me of the update. Right, so for any of you guys that were a part of my boot camps, whether it was boot camp, the first one that I did a month ago, 2 months ago, and this most recent one I just finished last week, send me a message via Instagram as well immediately, right? Because I do got to go ahead and get you guys added into this private bootcamp community that I am now creating on Telegram for right now, right? That is going to just pretty much put all of my bootcamp students together in one chat, right? Where we're all going to be able to bounce off ideas and just really work. I just feel like those that were in the boot camp are now having a different understanding of the markets, and I want them all together for sure, right? So if you were a part of any of the boot camps, then definitely make sure to go ahead and send me a message so I can get you added into that one for sure. I'm also going to send out an email to every single one of you guys that were a part of Bootcamp 1 and Bootcamp 2 so that you guys also have access to the Telegram that way as well, right? But I'm excited for that. Now, guys, keep in mind, just an update. Again, I am launching a new platform, a new project in November, right? Me and a few of the boys, the gang, my team, right? We're launching a new platform that's going to be, in my opinion, something that is game changer for a lot of you guys, right? So for right now, a lot of my private groups are still going to be on Telegram, but once we do launch this new platform, the groups are going to be directly on that platform itself, right? So it's not going to be Telegram. It's going to be literally a group itself where we're all going to be able to communicate. We're going to be all have a great time utilizing the community feed in there, and we're all going to still be able to bounce off ideas and just have some fun with it, right? It's going to be more so tailored like a Facebook group, like how you have on Facebook. All right, so but that's gonna be lit. All right, so we will be transitioning eventually to that aspect when the time is right itself. All right, let's see what else we got here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your thoughts. No, I appreciate you as well. Right, my account should be a diamond. It could be here for a year. Right. All right, so let's see UJ. Yeah, let's go take a look at UJ really quickly, see what we got here. All right, so UJ did absolutely amazing, guys, right? If you guys remember last week's video, right, on last week's video, I told y'all that I wanted to see UJ go down to here and then absolutely fly, and it literally did exactly that last week. Like, it played it out to the T, right? If you don't believe me, go watch last week's video that I dropped on my YouTube, right? I said that I wanted to see price come here, and then expected to take off, and it did literally just that, right? So UJ did exactly what we expected last week, and I'm still expecting dollar strength, right? I still want to see dollar strength overall continue. I just think we're going to see a pullback first before we see, more continuations higher here for UJ. Okay, so now where can we actually pull back to, and where should we be paying attention to actually go ahead and get involved? Well, most people are going to be looking at this level right here, right? Obvious level of structure support. We have previous resistance, price can come through, act as support, and then we can go ahead and see, higher pricing from that level. And that is very possible, right? Price could do that. But I think that, in my opinion, that's a little bit too simple, right? I like to think outside the box, okay? So what we can do, and what I'm looking for more so, is I want to see if price can actually make its way down to the 134 level before we actually go ahead and rebound and see higher pricing here for UJ. All right, so I want to see that. So if it's possible, that is what I'm looking for, right? If it can make it down there, that would be dope. If not, if price just comes here and then just, breaks below and then immediately rebounds, then that's another thing too, right? Price can break below this level right here just to capture liquidity from everybody that's going to be looking to buy directly off this level. Those are the traders that are going to end up getting trapped, getting their liquidity grabbed, their stop losses smoked. So if we see a run on this level and we rebound immediately, see at that point, then I'll also go ahead and look for some buys as well. But overall, I'm really targeting that 134 to look for longs, but I will react to see what price ends up doing here as well for UJ. Right, so overall, it does look good though. Again, this is another one of my favorite pairs to be trading, and I like how it's setting up going into this week for sure. Let's see, what's your IG? So Danielle, if you look directly below my pretty face, right, this pretty face right here, right, directly below, right, in the little, it's like a little sticker looking thing, right? My Instagram is right there, right? So literally right below my pretty face, this box right here, that's my Instagram. And please be mindful, guys, right? If you guys, for whatever reason, I don't know how, these scammers be doing it, guys, but the moment that you do look up my Instagram, I guarantee you're going to start to receive a bunch of also friend requests from pages that look like me. Okay, it's gonna happen. It's been happening for 3-4 years now that fake pages have been being made of me, utilizing me as a trader, as my influence to try to go ahead and scam you guys. So I'm putting this disclaimer out there right now. I will never ask you guys for money. I would never have you guys deposit money into a trading account that I'm gonna trade. I'm not gonna recommend any type of cryptocurrencies for you guys to invest to like that in private. All right, and I would never message you out the blue first. Okay, so please keep this in mind. I will never message you out the blue first. So if a page that looks like me messages you randomly out the blue, please take the initiative, guys, and assume that it is a fake. All right, please. Okay, it's literally, and I cannot make this up, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's people in the chat that have been following me long enough, right, that have been literally hearing me say this literally for the past few years, because it's been happening nonstop, right? It is crazy, but I just got to make sure that I get you guys aware, right? And it's definitely annoying for me to do this and to deal with this, right? Because again, it sucks when I do see people say that they got scammed or whatever the case may be. But all I can do is just continue to give you guys the heads up. So again, if somebody messages you randomly, it is not me, because I guarantee you, the moment you go to my actual real page and you decide to follow me, there's gonna be a bunch of fake Abels that are gonna follow you right after. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They got some type of technology. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, I heard that China might liquidate like 8 billion or maybe even Chile. I heard from the U.S. economy. I mean, you gotta think about it, right? China itself, guys, like they're one of the biggest holders of U.S. debt, right? Like they're one of the biggest holders of U.S. debt. Like they actually own a lot of different government bonds, U.S. treasuries, right? They actually own a lot of real estate, right? So U.S. like China owns a lot of U.S. debt. Like they really do, a lot of government debt as a whole. So yeah, they're dealing with a lot in themselves. Like China's literally about to go, like they're going through some shit over there in China right now. That's really, really impacting their economy. So now, since they're dealing with so much on their end, they're thinking now we're dealing with a lot on our end. The U.S. is also dealing with their recession. Now might be the time to actually go ahead and start liquidating a lot of this different, a lot of this debt that we actually do own from the US, right? So you never know what's going to happen overall. It's really going to be pretty much a flip coin, and from our perspective, because we don't have all the data that they have. But yeah, China's definitely going to be going through some shit for sure. All right, definitely going through some shit for sure. Let's see. Do the 8 main central banks have owners, right? The people technically is supposed to be the owner, I guess. I don't know, but no. The answer is no, right? Because this is the thing, guys. Like these central banks, most people believe that these central banks are actual government entities. Now, I can't speak for the ones overseas, right? Because again, I don't really know, but I know that the Federal Reserve, although it has the name federal, it has nothing. It's not a government entity. Right, so these central banks are really not even owned by the government because they're not government entities. Now, again, I don't know if the other ones are, but I know the Federal Reserve is not a government entity neither. So that's, again, it's very interesting to really see, or just to understand like how this thing really is all set up and how the Federal Reserve was created out of nowhere, right? But that's a whole different story, right? But yeah, these central banks, guys, are not even government entities. So it's interesting to see who actually does own these things. Like, is the Federal Reserve actually incorporated? Like, is there an LLC for the Federal Reserve? Like, I don't know. These are just thoughts and ideas that be going through my mind for some reason, right? But yeah, I don't know who the owners are. Let's see. Can you check NAS? Yeah, for sure. Let's go take a look at those, right? So overall, guys, like I said, a pushback down, a spike below 135.5 and a rebound can trigger a move higher for sure. All right, let's go take a look at NAS, right, and see what we got here. So, again, very similar, guys. Last week, again, on my Sunday call last week, I also told you guys that I expected these indices to turn around and start to see lower pricing. And we've been seeing that, and I expect this thing to continue. I don't think we're going to slow down anytime soon, at least for right now for these indices. I definitely can expect more downside pressure. So any pullback that we see in these indices, guys, any deeper pullback, whether it's the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame, any pullback can definitely go ahead and give us an opportunity to continue, shorting this market, right? Because I'm definitely looking for some shorts here. So maybe for NAS, if we're able to see price come up to around a 13.5 level, 13.5 around that area, that's where I would be interested in shorting, NAS if price can actually make its way back up to around that 13.5 area or so, right? So that's what I'm looking for overall. I still want to see more downside, so move up here. 13.5 can definitely trigger some more, shorting for sure, in my opinion, of course, right? So yeah, I like that though. It's very possible. So we'll see what happens overall. But I do think we're gonna see, more downside for sure, guys, over here. All right, let's see. GU. Let's take a look at pound dollar. All right, pound dollar. So pound dollar, guys, very interesting. We are already in an area of demand right now where we clearly had buyers come into the markets that started this little pullback. Okay, we had again here buyers entered the market and gave us this pullback. We had this little double top off the pullback, and then the market just really shifted to go ahead and continue in the overall trend. I mean, look at what pound dollar has been doing. Ultimately it has also been losing a massive value against the US dollar overall long term, and I just current market conditions just continue to expect this to continue. So overall, guys, yeah, if we can experience maybe a pullback here for GU, right, I would love to see price make its way back up to around this 1.20 level. That from there it could trigger more downside, right? That's what I would love to see. I'm not going to be looking to short it right here where price is at. Hell no, right? This move already happened, right? We already missed the drop, so I'm not going to try to force a sell here. So it's either we pull back up and then I short, right? That's the one opportunity, or we can also potentially, right, price can realistically also break this level, come back up for a short retest, and then continue. Now that is definitely going to be a little bit more riskier in my opinion, playing like something like this, the break and retest on something like this, just because we have a lot of clean traffic over here to the left that price might want to go ahead and correct and fill. But that is still an opportunity, guys, that the market can realistically do. All right, so that's something to keep your eyes on. I definitely want to say, if I'm leaning towards something, I'm definitely leaning towards more of the pullback up to then go ahead and look for more lower pricing from right there for GU. Right, so yeah, an opportunity might be good. Right, so either selling from right here or possibly even up from up there. But I'm sticking with this 1.205 for right now for sure. All right, let's see. It's sad you got to say all that, but the game is crazy. Yeah, it really is crazy. I've seen a few fake Abel accounts and always report them. I appreciate you, Mike. That means a lot to me that you even go as far as reporting them. All right, because it has been going crazy. All right, let's see Evergrande. Yeah, the Evergrande situation is crazy over there in China. It really is. All right, we got Zoe. Shout out to Zoe sponsoring the channel. I appreciate you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wealthy Fam. I appreciate you so much. All right, make sure to go ahead and send me a message on Instagram so I can get you added into the chat for my private inner circle chat familia. All right, thank you so much for rocking with me, and hopefully that means that you were able to gain some value. All right, but family, go ahead and do me one solid, guys. If you guys have gotten any type of value so far today, go ahead and smash the like button. All right, let me know by smashing the like button. Right, if you got any type of value, smash the like button for your boy. It definitely helps me out tremendously, guys. Again, these are free sessions that I'm providing y'all, and I'm really giving you guys some next level value, guys, especially when we incorporate fundamental and sentimental analysis. And if you're getting value off that, then just literally liking the video, it really does a lot, guys, for me, and I appreciate you guys that do it. All right, shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Okay. All right, so that's GU. Let's take a look at GJ. Right now, I know GJ is definitely one of my favorites. And GJ has been very, very interesting, guys, overall. But I think that we're going to continue in this bullish dominance that we've been seeing overall. Pound yen has been extremely choppy lately. All right, like extremely, extremely choppy lately. Shout out to you, Christina, newest subscriber in the building. Welcome, Christina. Shout out to you. I appreciate you so much. Right, but yeah, overall, we have been extremely, extremely choppy here, guys, for the pound yen itself, literally since June. Right, since June in this high, we literally haven't been doing too much. It's been going sideways and just, preparing ourselves for the next big takeoff. My opinion, the next big takeoff is going to keep us in this overall strength or bullishness that we've been seeing, lately, though. All right, so I think we're going to continue in the overall bullishness for the pound overall against the yen. So now it's just about finding the right opportunity to go ahead and get involved. So where can we get involved at? Well, price can come back down to this level of structure right here where we're clearly at right now. And around these levels, we can realistically look for some opportunities to go ahead and get in. Right? So what I'm looking for, guys, for pound yen overall, right? I would love to see, I'm not sure if we're going to, but I would love to see price make its way down here. Right? I would love to see price, if we can make its way all the way back down to these lows, right? Maybe down here. I think that would just be super discounted price point for pound, and that is an area where we could really find a lot of demand to come back in the market itself, right? So that's what I'm looking for. So overall, we might be looking for some shorts to start the week. We might be looking for some shorts, maybe some shorts from up here to get us down there. But once we are down there, yeah, I'm really liking the opportunity to go ahead and go long here for pound yen. All right, so overall, probably shorting to start the week overall. But then long term, I like to move higher. Right, I like to move higher for sure. All right, I like to move higher. All right, so that's my opinion here on GJ, guys. Overall, again, it's setting up nicely. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out. Now let's see what we got here. Shaddai, can you look at Bitcoin for sure, right? So let's take a look at Bitcoin, right? So the overall crypto market as a whole, did experience, guys, a big sell-off over the weekend, right? We actually seen a big sell-off. Was it Friday? Actually, I think it was Friday, right? But yeah, overall massive sell-off. I actually think that we're probably gonna at least come back to these initial lows, right here for Bitcoin. So even if we do see a short-term pullback, which is possible, right, we are at a level of structure, right? I think we're actually going to end up still pushing a little bit lower overall. I mean, if we experience, guys, if we look at what, the overall bias for the crypto market has been, we've been bearish, right? Ever since we had the high over here at 69,000, the high of the bull run, we've been bearish. I think we're going to continue bearish, right? I don't see no signs of slowing down just yet, right? Especially as long as market conditions stay the same. As long as interest rates are, at where they're at, right? As long as they continue raising interest rates, and as long as interest rates are at above 2, 3, 4%, I just don't see the crypto market at all rebounding just yet, right? I still see a lot more selling pressure going to be continue to come in, just like I'm experiencing, or I expect a lot of selling pressure for the stock market. Right? I experienced, it's similar concepts, guys. If you really, look at the crypto market as a whole and you compare it to, the stock market, they've been moving very similarly lately, right? And it's because, traders and investors are reacting and treating cryptos just like they're treating the stock market, right? So they're reacting in similar manner. So yeah, overall, as long as we're continuously raising rates, I think we're going to continue to experience more selling pressure here for Bitcoin. I think we're going to experience more selling pressure even here for Ethereum, right? Similar concepts. So again, we could see a little pullback and then overall continuation lower here for Ethereum as well, right? But again, as long as the market conditions are the way that they are, as long as the Federal Reserve is, has their plans in hand, I'm not changing my bias. I'm not changing my sentiment overall, right? So I think we're going to just experience more selling off as well. All right, so that's what I think is going to happen. Let's see, send these scans down, right? Yeah, right. I just see it. Again, guys, like, you have to understand, like, what's happening in the world plays a huge part. Don't let no other trader out there tell you anything otherwise. All right, because if interest rates are going up, then yeah, the markets are going to react a certain way. If interest rates are going down, the markets are going to react and respond a certain way. So when you are aware of this stuff, it's so much easier to stay with a bias when you understand it from a fundamental and sentimental perspective. So as long as we are risk off sentiment, crypto market is going to fall. Stock market is going to fall, right? Things like the dollar are going to continue to benefit, are going to rise. U.S. bonds and how much you actually get for U.S. bonds, right, is going to continue to rise. Okay? This is very important for you to get. Once you understand this stuff, guys, it's going to really, really help you out. But the moment we start to see a shift, right, not necessarily seeing the Fed actually lowering how much they're raising rates by, that is definitely going to see, that in itself is definitely going to start to change the sentiment a little bit, right? Like hypothetically, right now, again, we raised it 75 basis points, right? The moment that the Federal Reserve starts to backtrack and starts to lower it and say they start raising it by 15 and by 25 basis points, so on and so forth, yeah, people are the sentiment is going to start to change. But the moment we stop raising rates as a whole, that is when the real sentiment is going to actually start to kick in, right? So we have to definitely prepare ourselves for these things and just be aware of how the markets is going to react, okay? But overall, though, family, I do appreciate you guys so much for rocking with me today. Again, this is another weekly outlook that I wanted to give you guys, and I wanted to do this one live just because I felt like I haven't been on YouTube literally in forever, and it's only been a week. But I will be back live on YouTube this week, guys, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, providing you guys with massive value, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single night, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to go ahead and really give you guys this real sauce that you guys deserve overall, right? Big shout out to Real Talk Mafia. I appreciate you, newest subscriber. Shout out to you for rocking with me tonight or today, overall. But yeah, guys, again, let's make sure that we show up on Thursday or on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I will be giving you guys an announcement as well. For those of you guys that are interested in our boot camps, I've got literally a ton. I actually turned down, guys, right? Literally a lot of people, right? On literally on Sunday and Monday, I turned down a lot of people that tried to squeeze their way into the boot camp. Okay, I told you guys it is very, very selective. I'm only taking a certain amount, and once I hit that amount, I'm usually literally cutting it off, right? So I did turn down a lot of people for this most recent boot camp that I did. So if that is you, if you have not attended one of my boot camps yet, right, make sure to be aware, because I am going to be dropping information, guys, on my next boot camp on Tuesday, right? This Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm going to be giving out a lot of information on when I'm going to host my next boot camp, who I'm actually going to host it with as well, because I actually might bring some special guests this time to make the boot camp even that much better, right? But overall, the boot camp itself is definitely is something I'm going to continue doing for now, just to really be a way to provide you guys with even more value. So just look forward for it, right? Look forward to it. I know it's for a fact everybody that was on any of my boot camps have gotten massive value, and I'm just looking forward to continually providing everybody with massive value. So if that's you, if you're interested in my boot camp, guys, if any of you guys are interested in any of my boot camps, then make sure to be aware and be in the Telegram. Everything is also going to be dropped in my Telegram as well. So link is in the chat. The link has been dropped in the chat every 15 minutes. So make sure to go be a part of my Telegram as well. And I look forward to continuously providing you guys with massive value overall. All right, so let's see. Abel, appreciate you, Abes. I gotta tell you what I was hearing out Russia, though. Yeah, definitely let me know, Oscar. But I appreciate you, family. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for rocking with me today, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. If you guys are in any of my inner circle chats, I'll see you guys in the chats. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk